Welcome to the Adriana Talks Dinero podcast, the podcast where we turn money lessons into tools for healing, confidence, and prosperity in our community. I'm Adriana, your bilingual money coach, educator, entrepreneur, and proud author. Here we honor our raíces and ancestors while building wealth for future generations. Each episode, I'll share practical tips, wealth building strategies, and real talk to help you take control of your dinero, step into abundance, and go from surviving to thriving. Let's talk dinero. So, I always end up figuring it out when working with people that a lot of us are really scared of looking at our numbers. And I get it, right? We don't want to create more anxiety. We don't want to maybe see like what those true numbers look like in terms of how much debt we're in terms of how much money we spend, in terms of maybe seeing what our liabilities are over our assets. But it's super important to take the time to go ahead and look at all of these numbers. And the reason for that is that the number one way to build wealth is understanding what money is coming in, what money is going out, and what things you still owe at the end of the day. If you talk to a person who is well off or who is wealthy, they're going to tell you where every single dollar is going. They're going to tell you how much money is coming in. They're going to tell you the different tax strategies that their tax accountant is telling them to do. And they're going to go ahead and tell you that, sometimes we go ahead and we use our assets for liability purposes. And when you talk to someone who maybe isn't as financially set, or someone who just doesn't have their finances in order, the thing that I hear over and over and over again is, I don't like to open up my bills. I don't like to look at my bank account. I don't know how much debt I have. I don't know the interest rate on my car loan. These are things that I hear time and time again. And essentially, like, what individuals do who are not building wealth is that they'll go ahead and just make like the minimum payment on things, or they will just go ahead and just try to pay like the least amount of possible, and still kind of get themselves in this cycle. And the one thing that I always have all of my clients go through when they're working with me one-on-one, or whenever we're doing some sort of like spending audit, is I need them to know where every single dollar is going. And I need them to know how much is coming in. And they also need to know, like, essentially how they can go ahead and maximize every single dollar that's coming in. And what I mean by that maximize part is that they are conscientious on where their money is sitting. For example, if you have a bank account from Chase Bank, just because I hear this from clients, Chase Bank charges you X amount of money to even have that account, instead of putting that money in a credit union. Or they have their savings in a Chase Bank account and they are getting like 0.01% on maybe $10,000 that's sitting in there for a down payment on a house. Where if they would have just moved that money to a high yield savings account, they would get 3.5 to 4% interest on it instead. So it's really important too that you understand what your money is doing as well. For example, in investing, you have to understand what your money is doing in these investment accounts. You also have to know if they're charging you anything in these investments accounts, and also what they're going to charge you in the future in these investing accounts. Because I do work in human resources, the one thing that I get chewed out on all the time when people are retiring is that they didn't know they had to pay taxes on their 401ks. And they come to me after working at this company for 20 something years, and they yell at me because they want to take all their money out and they want to go back to their home countries, or they just want to go ahead and drain it because maybe they're sick or their partner is sick. And whoever the investment firm is says, well, just know that you have to reserve X amount at least for your taxes. And they're like, what are you talking about? So instead of someone having $100,000, maybe it's down to 70 or $60,000, depending on their taxes or whatnot. And they get really, really upset because they were like planning on that $100,000. And if I go back to understanding where every single dollar is going, what I see as such an issue in this country is that people just spend, spend, spend. They swipe credit cards, they sign up for these the Klarnas and the Afterpays of the world to go ahead and try to get all that they can and just make small payments here and there. And honestly, that's such a dangerous thing because, for one, you're making payments on maybe food from DoorDash. Or if something were to happen to you, what's going to happen when you can no longer pay the minimum payment on these credit cards, on these payment plans? It's really important that you also understand how much you're spending on things that you don't necessarily need, because we are such a capitalistic society. It is presented to us. It is very normal to have a big house. It is very normal to put everything on credit. It is very normal to eat out all the time. It is very normal to have the newest thing, right? Like iPhones, for example. Like I have, what is this? I think it's like a 13. It's about time to upgrade, but I do not want to get like a 17, an iPhone 17. Just because, for one, like, well, there's a bunch of reasons, but like I don't need to buy a brand new phone. I'm seeing if I can go ahead and get a refurbished one from somewhere, because I just think that that's so much better. Um, where there's people who, as like the minute the new iPhone drops, they're out there getting the brand new iPhone, or the same thing with any sort of Apple products. They want to get like the newest and greatest, and they are making payment plans, or they are not able to go ahead and save or invest for themselves. Like the thing that I say very often is like, don't keep up with the Joneses because they're broke anyway. And more times than not, they have no idea where their money's going. More times than not, like someone will snatch up their credit card number and start charging up things, and they have no idea they're making a minimum payment anyway because they don't open up their bills. So it's really important to go ahead and take a deep dive on where all your money is going, what things are getting charged to credit cards, or things are getting charged to your bank account and things like that. And honestly, like that's like the number one step, is to really understand your numbers, really understand your credit score too, for example, because if you're looking to go ahead and buy a house one day, you need to go ahead and have a good credit score as well to go ahead and qualify for a really good rate on a mortgage. Or if you're looking to go ahead and replace your car, you have to have some sort of down payment, some sort of credit score, some sort of means of income to go ahead and get these sort of things. And it's even better for you if you know how much you can go ahead and pay. And if you know that you have a really good credit score because you've been paying things off, or because your debt to income ratio is very low, so you can go ahead and qualify for these things. Just because, unfortunately, in the United States, it's really easy to get your hands on like different sorts of loans and things like that. But it's not to say that you're going to get a really good deal. I've talked to people who have car notes and have car loans at like 25%. And that's a lot. That's a lot of interest on a car note. So you want to make sure that you know your numbers and you understand them too. And if you don't know what that looks like, start budgeting, start doing those budget worksheets. Go ahead and look for a budgeting app. Like my favorite is a Lunch Money app, but you need to know the numbers of how much is coming in, how much is going out, your credit score, your assets, which is what you own and what is yours, that is a value, and also your liabilities, which are things that you owe, like student loans, your car note, your home loan, credit cards, things like that. And that will go ahead and help you start planning for any sort of other financial goals. But take this as a challenge. If you're the type of person who doesn't look at their bank statements, who doesn't open up their credit card bills, go ahead and take this as a sign to start practicing that and understanding what those numbers are, and give yourself grace too, is the big thing. Like I tell my clients all the time, like, as long as you're doing better today and tomorrow, yesterday doesn't even matter. Just give yourself grace and let's go ahead and move forward with things that are going to go ahead and help build your wealth in the future. So, yeah, that's really the first step to building any sort of wealth, is to really understand that and to kind of get over the fear and the anxiety of just understanding all of those things that I just mentioned. So, um, you know, take the challenge alone or get an accountability buddy, and maybe you guys can go on money dates together, or you guys can go ahead and just check in and say, did you open up that bill this month? Because I think that's super important too. So I just wanted to make a short and sweet episode, just because I do think this is such an important topic, because too many people just kind of, I don't know, like, go into their finances blindly, or just kind of live day by day very blindly, and then they end up having so much stress around money, just because they don't want to know those sort of things. So don't be one of those. And if you are, you have a chance to change, and you have a chance to go ahead and challenge yourself to be better and to be different. So that is definitely the first step forward. So if you found this really helpful, go ahead and share this episode with anyone that needs to hear it. Make sure that you like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast so other people can go ahead and get the same information. And if you have someone in your circle or someone in your life that needs to hear this in Spanish, I will have this episode in Spanish next week as well. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you for joining me, and we'll talk next time. Talk to you later. Before we wrap up, I want to keep it real with you for a second, the way that I always do. Everything we talked about in today's episode is for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, a tax professional, or a CPA. I'm just someone who is passionate about helping our community understand money better. Nothing in this episode should be taken as personalized financial or tax advice. And Adriana Talks Dinero is not responsible for any actions or decisions you take based on what you heard today. Every situation is different, and what works for one person may not work for another. Our community deserves access to this kind of information, but we also deserve professionals who can look at our full picture. So, take what you learned today, write down your questions, and bring them to a licensed financial advisor or CPA you can trust. We are here to give you the tools to ask better questions, and the right professional can help you put it all together for your specific situation. You now know enough to have a real conversation, and that is powerful.